It's time for set 3. When do the Papis play? Right now, up against Dignitas. Taco, Papis coming in this year to the Pro League for the first time, making it. They've made waves so far, beating teams and actually taking splits against teams you wouldn't have expected them to. This one's a real test up against Dignitas, though, who are classed as one of the big boy teams.
I think this will really be a telling tale for how the Papis have progressed and whether or not they actually are able to contend in that top 5 slotting for EU. Because if they're able to find a split off of Dig, it goes to show that that wasn't just a fluke against rival or rival playing down. It's that Papis have really just stepped it up.
Yeah, I think at the moment with how the league's going, Burrito seems to be right near the bottom, but then everybody else is fighting for that mid spot, which could end up in the bottom 7, the bottom number 7 spot potentially, and then the big boys are still competing too. So we'll see how Dig versus Papis do here. Dignitas, let's get into picks and bans and see how Dignitas do, because they are favored here, obviously.
Obviously, heavily favored is Dignitas, considering, I mean, they're leading as far as EU is concerned, and for good reason. They are a very talented team. I just think that the Papis are able to at least capitalize on some mistakes. And Dig, I mean, they have a lot of confidence, but that could also lead to a little bit of cockiness. And if they undermine the Papis, I think that they've got to be a little bit careful about doing so.
I completely agree, because that's where some of these mid-table teams just scrape wins out sometimes, because teams like Dignitas may overlook them. We'll see if they get overlooked here. It feels like they may be, with the fact that they left Bellona open to give that to the Papis.
Or maybe Variety just feels incredibly comfortable in picking up almost anything for it is a heavily comfort pick for Creed in that solo lane side, and I like that he's taking up that aggressive standpoint, considering that aggression is what works best for the Papis, but that does give Zyrhoes the Morrigan as well as Fafnir for Trixtank.
Yeah, Fafnir for Trix is going to be useful, but the Morrigan, Zyrhoes is one of those Morrigans in the mid lane, and the other one is pretty prime for me. They're the two that will always go to this pick. They are mechanical gods, I'd say, and they're very, very intelligent to be able to play this god to one of its highest levels. I still don't think anyone's played it perfectly, but I think we're getting to that stage now where teams, if you grind Morrigan hard enough, you could be amazing. I
think that those two players in particular, are probably the closest to utilizing Morrigan's fullest potential.
Agreed.
And now with the Raven alongside of the Morrigan, there's already 2 primary suspects for Zyrhoes to opt the ult into. I mean, there's also the Bellona and Ganesh on the side of the Papis, and a Vulcan as well. Zyrhoes knows how to play those mages.
Just gotta pick your poison. That's what Papis are going to have to deal with here. Is Morrigan is going to do whatever you do to them at the same time, or at least one of the characters that you choose in this game. Raven's flexible to the jungle here, though. It could be jungle, could be solo lane. We've seen it a little bit more just lately back in the solo lane side of things, Taco. Do we predict he could be jungling, though, here?
I would anticipate it to be jungle. I don't expect the Morrigan to go the way of jungle simply because of how well Zyrhoes is able to utilize this god. And it is going to be a Ram selection as far as Hunter role is concerned, leaving Warchi to opt for the Kern and the Awilish. So again, a little bit of a wombo combo coming through for Dheylo and Ojoboom, but they're just trying to play to their strengths, and I like that.
Completely agree. It also causes a couple of issues for Fafnir as well, because he wants to use that underhanded tactics to either leap in or leap away. And Awilish can deny that a little bit with that gravity surge. Hercules, the last pick, more than likely that is the solo lane, so it should be Ravana in the jungle.
While I like the wombo combo from the Vulcan and the Awilish, one concern I do have for the Papis is damage. It's going to be incredibly difficult trying to lock down and all in a Fafnir, Raven, and Hercules. Incredibly tanky composition coming from Team Dignitas, so it's very clear why they look to ban that Nemesis.
Yeah, very good point indeed. We'll see how the damage dealers on Dignitas can do, though, because the front line's strong enough. It's about Papis trying to get to that back line, I guess, is going to be the real telling point of how this game begins.
With the way that Zyrhoes and Arkkyl like to position themselves, I think that it'd probably be Arkkyl as the primary suspect for Papis to look for, as he tends to be a little bit more aggressive than most hunters.
Well, it appears some of the supports, hang on a minute, 5-man goon squad in the mid lane. Zyrhoes goes, hang on a second, boys, listen. Aegis. Aegis. Job done.
The complete deterrence, but they do have the hog available for Dracomarino, so he's just going to pick that one up easy peasy.
And I like what Papis have done here. Honestly, it looks a little bit janky, it looks a little bit strange of like, haha, it failed. But what did they do? They tried to pressure mid lane, get an early relic out. They realized that Dignitas are expected to win this, so they're trying to throw them off the game a little bit by looking to strip the jungle. So they're going to get the red, the purple. They lose their own purple and a minion wave in trade, however. But they also get the elementals on the right-hand side. So Papis so far keeping things even.
Interesting how they're opting to just look for the buffs and then they're going straight for the oracles, not even worrying about the lane pressure right now in that dual lane side. And I actually like it because when you look at the compositions, I would anticipate the Fafnir Ram to win that lane pressure every time.
Well, here's a fight in the jungle now. Level 2 versus level 2. Arkkyl takes a lot of poke. In, though, goes Warchi, who's in a lot of trouble. He has to Aegis. No minion wave for him because the archers are keeping him busy. So that can't happen to put pressure onto Dignitas once more. Dig end up winning that trade in the dual lane.
That pressure, and, well, I shouldn't say, the pressure from Dig, phenomenal. Questionable dash in from Warchi trying to just get to his tower as soon as possible. Should have opted for the safer route, would have saved him the burnage of his Aegis, but what excellent peel from Draco.
Really good work from Draco again, and giving him Ganesha is something that we've seen teams do over and over again, and his Ganesha is really solid. He understands his job as a support. He's very good at body blocking abilities and keeping his hunter alive, and when you've got to keep a man like Warchi alive, man, you're doing good things.
You're doing a lot of things for your team, especially, and right now, they're just looking to go even in this dual lane. Kind of the same story over in the mid, as you can tell. Neither side really getting the better end just yet, just trying to farm it out as much as possible.
Yeah, not just yet. It's still even in the gold. The experience, just look at the levels. You can really see it's so close between the two. Ever so slightly in favor of the Papis for the time being. It's not enough to write home about. The two supports, though, going to mention this again. Trixtank going for the Brace of Undoing. We've seen this more and more and more. And it appears some of the Guardians, or the support players, I should say, over in Europe, really starting to favor this.
Yeah, Draco looking for that hog, I think, just trying to secure the jungle buffs as much as possible. But the Bracer really on these aggressive supports in particular is so strong because you bait out so much. And we heard what Dimmy said in his interview. If they don't have an anti-heal composition, it baits out a lot.
Creed's in a bit of trouble here. Still only level 4. He's not even in this fight yet. He will be now with that Earthbreaker driving strike combo. And Qvo and Zyrhoes pick up the kill. Creed was just slightly out of position on his own there. I don't think he expected mid and jungler to be around those elementals.
A little bit of miscommunication, I believe, between the Papis, and ultimately caused Creed to take a spill, and now that's going to leave Variety open to farm at level 5, get the experience laid back, because it was actually Creed who had a little bit of pressure in that soul lane side.
He was Bellona, so Bellona generally does have pretty good lane pressure against every pretty much matchup. Obviously, Variety has to kind of cancel out the bludgeon if he can with a driving strike, but it doesn't make as much of an impact as it could do for the time being. Meanwhile, a bit of pressure in the mid lane coming out from Dignitas as they look to recall back to base.
The real style play for Variety would be to try and pull him off guard with the second ability. That's always a nice, fun, flashy play for Hercules to try and pull off, but not too much of that going to be happening just yet, and right now it's basically just the same standard safe farming from the Papis after losing the first blood, which I like. I think that it's best to just kind of try and reel things in after losing that first blood.
And purple buff going to go over to Dracomarino there as well. Elementals have respawned. Sorry, Elementals. The Oracles have respawned on this left-hand side, and Papi's going to get these again on rotation. You can see both the Hunters are matching pace right now at level 6 apiece still. Lono's masks are about to get towards completion soon, so a little bit of burst of gold and health for the two support players.
And that's two things that support players really love having, is that little bit of burst in health. There is a ward on Dheylo's speed buff. Doesn't look like Dignitas are looking to contest. I think they just want to keep track of where this Awelish is at. Yeah,
the Elemental is about to spawn, and Dignitas pressure in solo lane means they will pick those up for free. And the duo, sorry, the solo and the jungler for Dignitas, based off that first kill that Zyrhoes got in the mid lane, have a little bit of a lead over the Papis there on the right-hand side of the map. Is now they're looking to pressure the blue buff as Papis looking to defend their own red.
It's kind of an even trade-off across the map. You've got Dignitas who are securing the fire elementals, and then Papis who are securing the oracles. So both of these teams seem to just be focusing down the objective, or the farm that they already had locked down.
Nice little pressure in the mid lane coming out from Dracomarino there. Set up a nice backfire from Ojoboom. It's not enough to get a kill yet, but Dheylo on the right-hand side looking to pressure Variety. Variety up against Creed, but with the minions going down, he's just going to play it safe. Variety kind of smells out ganks quite often. He's been a solo laner for quite a while now.
Plus that ward certainly gave him a little bit of insight as to what Dheylo was looking to do. So well played by him. Just fall back.
Easy game, easy life. You just know with ward coverage, it's nice and simple. Nothing too crazy so far in this game as we look on the left-hand side of the duo, sorry, right-hand side of the solo lane, and Creed just ate the Hercules boulder to the face, but he's not all upset about that. Variety going to return back to base, has no teleport available here, so surprised he was thinking about going in there when there's a new minion wave coming.
Oh, I think he's still thinking about going in. If he gets the knock-up onto Creed and is able to push him and pull him out of the tower, that's going to be a ton of damage onto Creed, but I think he'll be safe for the time being.
Is that new skin on Variety as well, that Hercules Knight skin? The clanks. Those poor minions.
Kind of a satisfying sound.
It's a satisfying sound, but think about hitting a poor minion on the head with that every single time. Clank, clank, that's really, really painful.
Well, it can't be any worse than the bludgeon.
These minions are actually, I think the minions are superhuman, you know. I really do. Like, they are so strong. If you think about a god hitting them in the face and they still stay standing, it's pretty impressive. It's like a good Friday night in Manchester, that.
And Variety trying to stay standing as well. With the, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
with that one, that's pretty good. But yeah, Variety just trying to really play it aggressive when he can, but not looking to get a counter aggressed on.
I mean, there's no real talk about he's slow so far, but Trixtank trying to speed things up with that rotation over to the solo lane. After that first blood, Papis have played generally safe and not given anything open for Dignitas to continue to exploit. The golden experience still relatively even. Dignitas up a little bit just based off the first blood and the fact that they lost that man earlier on in iCreed in the solo lane.
I'm more curious to see what happens between Warchi and Arkkyl in this duo lane, because Arkkyl loves aggression, but so does Warchi.
Well, Gold Fury fight could happen here. Hold on a second. Ojoboom, don't forget he's playing that Vulcan engage coming out from Dracomarino there with the Dharmic Pillars coming down. It's enough of a secure to get the Papis, and in goes Dheylo. Zyrhoes getting Aegis very early. The Wild Hunt on. Piggy. Zyrhoes running for his life still. Still in trouble as he gets knocked in the sky. He will fall down. But the snipes from Arkkyl cause Warchi so many problems as Trix and Qvo pick him up, and now Draco. And Elephant will remember that one in the mid lane. 3-for-1 engagement. Dignitas coming on top.
A little bit too much aggression from the Papis in such an awkward spot of the jungle to fight in. Zyrhoes had his A's, and so all he really needed to do was just wait that one out. He held it until the last second possible and bought his team enough time to just rotate over and get the easy cleanups.
Good little work from Creed there just to defend that speed buff for the Papis. Obviously, Dheylo will be back in time to pick that up. However, he can't fight up against Qvo, and Variety is blue, so stolen away by Dignitas. Just extra little things in their coffers in favor of them after that team fight.
And I think that the real issue that's starting to come into play now is what I mentioned before everything even kicked off. Is that you've got Dheylo on a comfort pick such as the Awelish, and it's a great combination when you have a Vulcan to your side. But against such a formidably tanky squad, that becomes kind of an issue.
I think the biggest thing that went wrong for them there, Taco, in that team fight for Papis was they went for the all-in on Zyrhoes, and they did get the kill on Zyrhoes, granted. It just took them way too long to bring him down. If they would have got him down a lot quicker, that fight could have been completely different. Papis could have even come out on top or got away or traded out a couple more kills evenly.
There was also 3 people standing on top of the Fafnir who was ulting. And the slow combined with the fact that they're going to get hit by the dot tick damage from standing inside of that ultimate for too long just opened things up for Arkkyl to completely rain down on top of them. When you're slowed, that's like free all day for a Ram.
Well, biggest experience difference so far this game is QvoFred, 2 levels above Dheylo as it stands for the time being, and continuing to put pressure on with this Robin wherever he can. Gold Fury fight is going on here. As you can see, Dheylo and Creed are both low. Dheylo respectively forced out as Trixtank knocked up Qvo, and in the sky goes Arkkyl, looking to snipe out Ojoboom. Has been left alone on the Vulcan, and he will fall down for free. Next on the list is going to be the Elephant. Dracomarino surrounded and CC'd in place over and over again. 4 little piggies go running to the Gold Fury.
Beautiful wild hunt, but just no damage whatsoever to follow up with it. Unfortunately, it just comes at a stage where Papis can't really capitalize on it, and I think that Dignitas are starting to lock this one away.
It's causing a lot of issues now. Look at this, Warchi in pressure here, stunned out. He's just trying to secure the Gold Fury, but now he's going to be able to get pressure onto Zyrhoes, who overstayed and overcommitted. Good work from Warchi picking up that. You will remember my name. Luckily enough, though, for Zyrhoes, he had some backup there. Surprising that he fell down, just not respecting the amount of damage Colonels could do.
And Dheylo just a little bit short of locking down Trixtank, trying to stop that back, but Little Dwarf got away.
Now it's a 5,000 gold lead for Dignitas early on. The experience after that last fight really hurts too, just because Gold Fury goes down. A couple more free farming moments for Dignitas, and Papis looking to answer back this with a portal demon. I like the idea, but when there's a Hercules man mounting with a sword waiting for you, causes a lot of problems.
They don't have enough damage just yet, but it's Arkkyl who's actually looking to be aggressed on. Beads are good. And Dheylo's going to choose not to follow up on that one. Actually concerned about the damage that Arkkyl could put out. He is level 13 against a level 9 Awelish.
He is, but he was completely out of mana there, Arkkyl. After he used the rollout and the beads, there was no real survivability other than Aegis. I think Dheylo could have, responded with going a little bit more aggressive there if he wanted to. maybe is a little bit worried about rotations and somebody hiding in the jungle.
He did have the bracer available, though, so it is kind of interesting that he wouldn't choose to go in there. I think that he was just overly concerned about just falling to in-hands from Ram. And now it's Creed who's trying to take up this man fight with Qvo, but it's Robin who's getting the better end of it and fixing that face.
Well, this time round, that's the best news for Qvo. He invades, gets speed, and blue buff too. Creed can't really do much about it. He's also going to lose his tier 1 tower because that happened. Papis looking to pressure mid lane a little bit, but they're not going to gamble on going any more aggressive than that. Slowly but surely, though, Dignitas is just turning up the heat.
Papis kind of just had that draft that relied so heavily on the Awelish snowballing early on. That's kind of what you're looking for every time you pick an Awelish. You want that early snowball potential, but when you drop a fight in the way that Papis did, that's really all that a team like Dignitas needed in order to pretty much punish every aspect of your draft.
And getting punished they are. They just gave up a portal demon for free on the right-hand side. Look at how Dignitas just got sentries all around that portal demon with Papis not even sniffing it out. In the end, that causes so many more problems because, you know, Creed had no solo tier 1 tower, so he couldn't be in the lane to be able to go and check it and keep vision of what was going on. So more gold, more experience to Dignitas.
I mean, Warchi and Creed just hit level 12.
Hold on, left-hand side, we got a fight going on right now as it looks like Dracomarino and Warchi in a bit of trouble here. Warchi is going to get sniped out. Aegis has been used and QvoFred will steal it away with the ultimate. Fixing faces, as you said. Zyrhoes, though, knocked in place, being focused out. Vulcan ultimate will not connect as Zyrhoes escapes thanks to the Aegis. And now it's Dheylo and Draco versus Trix, but the Dharmic pillars are down. Dheylo's going to get a CC to high heaven. Trixtank leaps in and still pressuring out the team. Creed, Dracomarino forced back.
And so many separate opportunities for the Papis, but the damage just isn't there. The plays are there. They're making some solid plays. It's just that it's hitting them for like 10 damage apiece.
And with this, tier 1 tower going to fall to Dignitas in the mid lane. Tier 1 tower on the left-hand side going to fall to Dignitas as well. And the goal just continues to extend in favor of Team Dignitas.
And this is brutal already for the Papis. When you're down 8.3k gold at 13 minutes, it's
that first fight. That first fight where Papis get first blood in this game, they just invested too much. Invested too much into Zyrhoes. Took them too long to pick him apart. They could have reset. They just need to look back at that and work out what they did wrong, really, and then go from there for, you know, the next time.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. If I'm the Papis, they're probably already discussing how they can look to better improve for the second game, because you can kind of anticipate how this one is going to end up once you go with the risk of the early game draft. Well, there's just not a lot of room left.
I mean, they do have a Vulcan, and the Vulcan could always secure a Fire Giant or 2 to save them at the end of the day, but Ojoboom at the moment only level 12. Same level as Zyrhoes, which isn't, you know, too much of an upset there. It's just more, he's going to have to get a few more levels to be able to one-shot Gold Furies and Fire Giants from high health.
Yeah, but even still, it's kind of like what happened to Burrito in their set with the Vulcan. Even if you land a 5-man Vulcan ultimate, it's not going to do much. And right now, Zyrhoes
again, he will be able to sneak away around the right-hand side one more time. And this is happening time and time again. They all in the Morrigan, and at the end of the day, they lose kills instead. And oh wow, a surrender vote coming out there from the Papis. Not upset by that, I guess. I'm really not upset by that because that game was really tricky to come back into.
That game was kind of over. I can't blame them. It is an incredibly early time to F6, but considering how things were playing out, you can't really blame them for choosing to just call it quits at that game number 1. It's okay to F6 sometimes.
Sometimes.
It's okay to F6 sometimes.
You're against